right, today we will be doing lesson 7.4. 7.4 is on page 319 of your chapter 7 book. We will be multiplying fractions. Our objective is, I'm going to type it here. We will multiply fractions using models. So yes, we are back to using models, and we're going to be using them to multiply fractions. So let's go ahead and start with our investigation. We have here Jane is making reusable grocery bags and lunch bags. She needs 3/4 yard of cloth to make a grocery bag. A lunch bag requires 2/3 of the amount of cloth a grocery bag needs. How much cloth does she need to make a lunch bag? So remember, our routine is when we read a problem, we read it at least 2 times and we circle the important information. Jane is making a reusable grocery bag and lunch bags. She needs, so this is what she needs, 3/4 of a yard of cloth to make a grocery bag. A lunch bag requires, so here's the lunch bag, it requires 2/3 of the amount of the cloth grocery bag. So it's 2/3 of 3/4 because it requires 2/3 of the amount of cloth the grocery bag needs. So that means that it's 2/3 of 3/4. How much cloth is what we want to know. How much cloth does she need to make a lunch bag? So here the keyword was a lunch bag requires 2/3 of the amount of cloth a grocery bag needs. Okay, so something that we want to jot down really quick is 2/3 of 3/4. And remember what I said in the past, when you see the word of, then it means we are multiplying. So here we have the steps. All right, we're going to be creating a model to show 2/3 of 3/4. So what you will need right now is some color pencils, and you will need a sheet of paper that you can fold. So please pause your video at this moment and get a piece of paper and maybe some color pencils or crayons, 2 colors, and come back. All right, so here I have my piece of paper. I'm actually going to be using 2 highlighters. And so we're going to follow the directions that we see here. So we're going to fold the sheet of paper vertically. Vertically means up to down, into 4 equal parts, using the vertical folds as a guide. So we're going to start off and we're going to fold our piece of paper vertically 4 times. And if you see here on the picture, you have the girl who has already folded her paper. So to have 4 equal parts, we're going to fold this paper first in half. Okay, so if you want to follow me, you're going to fold this paper in half. Okay, so it looks like this. And then after you have folded this in half, you're going to fold each of the flaps in half again. So I'm going to do that by taking this side in and folding it up to the half like this. Okay, so I'm going to fold it again. And I'm going to do that again with the other flap. Fold it in so that it's folded in half. Okay, again, what did I do? I folded first in half, okay? Or you can just fold it in half like that again. I don't know what I was thinking. Just fold it again in half. So just fold it in half twice, okay? Again, half, and half. And so when you open it, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 sections. I'm going to ask to see this model in class. So make sure you're doing it, okay? Because I will ask you to show me this model during class, okay? All right. So I have 4 parts, okay? And so, and if I have 4 parts, that means that I'm doing the fraction 3/4. I will shade 3 of these sections to show 3/4. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take my color and shade 3. So go ahead and pause your video, or if you need more time, I'm gonna do that as I'm speaking, and I'm going to shade 3 of those squares. So I'm doing it here on my desk. Okay, and so if you, I don't know if you can see it, but I have shaded 1, 2, 3. Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next section. It says fold the paper horizontally into 3 equal parts. So now we fold it this way, right? Our lines are going this way. Now we're gonna flip our paper and we're going to fold our paper horizontally. Well, if you look at it like this, it's horizontally. We want to make the folds so that they cross our previous folds. And we need to do it into 3 equal parts. So for this one, you do bring in to a third. So I'm gonna fold here. So I just bring it in. I kind of fold it where I see that it's the even amount so that they're equal parts. Okay, so just fold it in 3. If you need help folding these like this, maybe you can ask someone in your house to help you fold it in 3. Okay, but see, I made one fold, and then I'm gonna make the other fold by bringing the bottom part up. Okay, so don't worry about it if it's not evenly. Okay, as long as you have about 3 equal parts. Okay, so I folded it, and now I open it, and now I have all these little squares. Well, not that little, but I have all these squares. You should have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 squares in all after having those folds. But now I already folded in 3, and now I'm going to highlight 2 of these 3 sections, and I'm going to do it a different color. So I'm going to use my orange, and I'm going to color 2 out of the 3 to show 2/3. Okay, so now my thing looks like this. I have 2 colored this way, and I have 3 colored this way. So that I'm showing 2/3 by 3/4. All right, let's go to section C. Count the number of sections into which the whole sheet of paper is folded. And we already did, right? I kind of told you how many rectangles are formed by all the folds in the paper. So if you noticed, when I folded with both folds, I have 12 squares. So here we're going to write 12. Okay, so here we put 12. How many rectangles are formed by all the folds in the paper? That's 12. Now, what fraction of the whole sheet of paper does one rectangle represent? So we want to find that out. So if I'm asking you to tell me what does 1 square represent, remember, my denominator is how everything is divided, or how many parts are in the whole group. So we have 12. And if I'm only using one of those 12 or asking to show me a fraction that represents 1 out of this 12, then my fraction is 1/12. So I'm going to go ahead and write here in my book 1/12. Now let's look at D. Count the sections that are shaded twice and record the answer. So when you're multiplying fractions using a model, your answer will be the squares that are shaded twice. So count how many squares are shaded twice. In my case, I shaded in yellow and orange. So if you can see in my square, I have these, right, that are shaded twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that means that 6 are shaded twice, and it's 6 out of 12, isn't it? 6 out of 12 squares. So my fraction here will be 6 over 12. Now, can this be simplified? Yeah, right, because 6 is half of 12. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 plus 6 is 12. So I know that I can simplify this to 1/2. You could also think about it like if I can divide a number, both the numerator and the denominator, evenly. And yes, I can divide by 6, right? I can divide 6 by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So when I simplify, I get a half. So J needs 1/2 yard of cloth to make a lunch bag. All right, so that was the first section. Here we have some other examples now using the fraction circles. You can find part of a part in different ways. Margaret and James both correctly solve the problems 1/3 times 3/4 using the steps shown. So here we have two other examples, and they have marked the steps to show how they found 1/3 times 3/4. So let's go ahead and read it. It says shade the model to show 3/4 of the whole. So we're going to color this to show 3/4 of the whole. I'm going to use my pencil here. So we're going to show 3/4. And I have 1, 2, 3. So that would show 3/4, correct? Now it says, how many 1/3 pieces did you shade? How many 1/4 pieces did we shade? We had to shade 3, correct? 1, 2, 3. We had to shade 3 1/4 pieces. To find 1/3 of 3/4, circle 1/3 of the 3 1/4 pieces that are shaded. Okay, let me repeat that. To find so I want to find what is 1/3 of 3/4. So to do that, I'm going to circle 1/3 of the 3 1/4 pieces. So this one works out perfectly because it's our 3/4 is kind of, you could see that it's divided into 3 sections. The thing is that you cannot always do that with all problems, right? They don't work like that. But in this case, Margaret did it this way. She circled one of the 3/4. So her answer here, what part of the whole is 1/3 of the shaded pieces? So when I circle 1/3 of the 3/4, I got 1/4, right? 1/4. This is 1/4 of a piece of the whole. So in this case, the answer is 1/4. Now let's look at how James did it. Shade the model to show 3/4 of the whole. So we start the same way, shading 3/4. So we go 3/4, 3 out of 4 pieces. Now it says divide each 1/4 piece into thirds. So in this one, she's going to divide each of these pieces into 4 sections. Um, so let's see. So every fourth, I'm sorry, will be divided into thirds. The reason why, because we are multiplying by 1/3. So every piece I will divide into 3 pieces. 1, 2. So that's 1, 2, 3 pieces. So I'm going to do that to all the pieces, divided into 3 sections. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to do that same here. Okay, so now that I did that, what part of the whole is each small piece? So when I divided each piece into 3, now we want to know how many pieces are in the whole circle. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12, or if we're just saying 1, it's 1 over 12. One piece, each small piece is 1/12. Now, to find 1/3 of 3/4, which is our problem, 1/3 times 3/4, circle 1/3 of each of the 3 1/4 pieces that are shaded. So we're not gonna circle any of the ones that are not shaded. Only only the ones that are shaded. I'm gonna circle 1/3 of each fourth piece that was shaded. So in this case, I'll go 1. Let me do a different color. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So in total, I circled 3, right? 1, 2, 3 out of 12. So the answer here is 3/12. However, 3/12 is not in simplest form, correct? It's not in simplest form. Because I can divide both the numerator and the denominator by 3. So if I divide 3 by 3, that's 1. If I divide 12 by 3, it's 4. So at the end, I got the same answer as Margaret. James got the same answer, but he did it a different way. Okay. So those are the steps. You can kind of slowly go over it again if you need to, or rewatch this section. However, I do want you to make sure that you understand how we did the model with the squares, because I will be testing you on that way. So let's do number 1, which is using the squares. Let's do that example. We have used the model to find the product. So we're using models to solve this. And we start off by, let's model 3/5, okay? So on one side of the paper, or one side of the squares, we will model with 3/5. So the denominator tells you how your how it's divided. So what I can do instead is just start from scratch, because they kind of already did it for you. So it doesn't help. So let's start off by drawing our model. I'm going to start off drawing my model by making 5 sections. Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So if you see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I made 5 rows. Okay. I made 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, out of those 5 rows, I will shade in, and I use the markup tool. I'm going to shade in. I'm going to do it with blue, or they did it with green. Let me do it with green so you could see how it relates to their diagram. Okay, so I'm going to shade 3. 1, 2, and 3. I just overlapped it because okay. And now, so I did this model 3/5. Now I'm going to model 1/3. The 1/3, my lines are going to be coming from top to bottom. So I need to do 3 sections because that's my denominator. So I'm going to draw 1, 2. So now do you see how this squares are similar to this. Um, I have 3 columns because I have a denominator of 3 in my fraction. Now I'm only going to shade 1 column because that's my numerator. So I'm going to go ahead and get my markup tool, get some yellow, and shade 1 column. Now you see how they didn't show you how this is shaded. They only shaded, this section because you really don't need these. What really counts is what shades twice. Okay? So what shaded twice, if you look here closely, these squares right here are the ones that were shaded twice, which is 1, 2, 3. So your answer is going to be what shaded twice. 1, 2, 3 shaded is going to be my numerator. 3 is going to be my numerator. And my denominator is going to be how many pieces I have in my model. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Or you could have done 3 times 5 is 15. So it's 3/15. However, that would be equal to, that would not be my final answer because it's not in simplest form, right? I'm going to divide 3 by 3 and it gives me 1. And I can divide 15 by 3 and that gives me 5. So my final answer is actually 1/5. So when you simplify, you think, what number can I divide both numerator and denominator? I need to divide by the same number, but I cannot get decimals or remainders. So I can divide 3 by 3 and 15 by 3. And so it simplifies to 1/5. Okay, so let's do one more. I'm going to do number 3. I really don't like the circles. If you like that one, you can. So I'm going to move on to number 3 because I really want you to get this diagram, the ones that overlap. So I have 2/3 times 1/5. Okay. So remember, my first fraction I will model by making the rows. Whether you do columns with the first number or rows, it really doesn't matter. But my first step is to draw a square. And so my square is going to be divided by how much I have as a denominator. Another way that you can think of it is that the denominator will determine how many rows and columns you have. So I have 3 here and 5 here. So I could go 3 and 5. That's the way that you can think about it. But I'm going to model 2/3 first. And I'm going to model it in this direction. And then I'll model 1/5 on this direction. Okay. So 2/3. That means that I'm going to make 3 rows. Okay. So here we go with 3 rows. 1, 2. So that's 1, 2, 3 rows. See? And out of those 3 rows, I'm going to shade 2. So I'm going to go ahead and shade 2. 1, 2. Now I'm going to do my next fraction, which is 1/5. I'm going to make 5 columns. So here we go with 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, which is the one that is left. I have 5 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to shade one of those columns. I'm going to shade it green. So here I go. I shade. And my answer will be the squares that are shaded twice, which is only these 2, right? And then that will be my numerator. The ones that shade twice. And my denominator will be the total amount of squares in my diagram. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 1, 2, 3. So that means that there's 15 squares, or you can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that would be 2/15. Now, can I divide my numerator and denominator by a number, the same number? Not one doesn't count because that's going to give you the same. No, right? I don't. So that means that it's already in simplest form. So my answer is 2/15. I'm going to make it bigger so you can see it. And so I'm going to circle my answer, and my answer is 2/15. All right, we'll be um, practicing this in class on Tuesday. All right, I'll see you in class.